Teaching Literacy Assignment 2 Multimodal Report. The purpose of the multimodal report is to disclose NAPLAN by analysing, critically evaluate the benefits, limitations with self-evaluation, portfolio assessment and reporting. It is utilising the discipline of English from the Australian curriculum, the 3 concept descriptors and suggestions for appropriate approach and implementation. The multimodal report will identify self-evaluation and portfolio assessments for investigating student literacy, language development, grades 4, 5 and 6. The 2 assessments represent credible appraisal, consistent evaluation of student teaching, reporting on NAPLAN, and the 2 assessments with the higher range thinking aptitudes that empowers teachers and students to communicate through teaching and the learning process. The explanation of the National Assessment Program Literacy and Numeracy NAPLAN is a yearly national appraisal for all students in years 3, 4, 5, 7 and 9 to partake in tests on writing, reading, spelling, grammar, punctuation and numeracy. The benefits of NAPLAN for the students, schools and the Australian curriculum are no such system that involves a pass or a fail. According to Tompkins, Campbell and Green, they mention that students and families discuss progress with teachers rather failing a student or providing a pass mark. Snyder mentioned that NAPLAN does not force overwhelming expectations during teaching practices in language, learning how to write and read. For example, the Australian Curriculum Assessment Reporting Authority mentioned it is beneficial to support school teachers to challenge ongoing accomplishments and recognise students needing support during literacy. It benefits the schools reporting students' progress through their strengths, self-reflection, portfolios and improvements in teaching set goals. Another example from ACARA mentions the school system and government's valuable from information support, learning and continuous improvement from reflecting and reporting. It provides equity by providing students openings with learning open discussions about the imperative skills of literacy. Roy believes the benefits of NAPLAN also support school teachers to report and collect information with results for improvement in schools and states. The limitations have shown evidence that NAPLAN literacy does not measure the importance of learning and teaching in schools. The Daily Telegraph argues NAPLAN has developed students to have anxiety, feel depressed, cry before they start the test and vomiting. It is said that NAPLAN literacy is not to fail or pass. Then why does it display on the charts high levels of achievements and low levels of achievement? This affects students to sit for the test as it seems to be a competitive procedure to force students to pass literacy. The students seem to withdraw as an approach to keep away from challenges from sitting NAPLAN tests and avoid school literacy. Winch, Johnston, March and Holiday argue that NAPLAN does not support diverse language backgrounds and disability students and families. For example, the writing assessment is a creative task while the language tradition evaluation is basically an altering task. Students in grade 4 and 5 have failed to recognise errors, choosing the right alternative in editing errand without having the capacity to apply their expertise in their own writing. Healy mentions those students from grades 4, 5 and 6 spelling results have not achieved satisfying results in the context writing of the chosen words. Students incorporate into their reaction to the upgrade words and the score of accuracy at the point illustrated. Conversely, the language tradition evaluation expects students to recognise and spelling errors. To report on NAPLAN, the Victorian State Government Education and Training mentioned NAPLAN literacy reporting shows the summary results publicly available to view online to government and non-government schools. For example, NAPLAN mentioned the reports on students' literacy result contain a depiction of what was evaluated in each of the tests. It provides information about the learning and aptitudes the students illustrated through reading, writing, spelling, grammar and punctuation. The student report provided to families and guidance to share their input and strategic goals to use assessment for greater achievement. The student results are reported using the NAPLAN assessment scales viewed by school teachers, My School website and NAPLAN Association. The student's result chart in every zone is set apart on the basic appraisal scale. The graphs in the student report additionally demonstrate the range for Centre 60% of the student, the national outcome. The national standard for every year level reports in a few states and domains additionally demonstrate the school levels of achievement. The content descriptor from the Australian curriculum has evident links to Year 4 NAPLAN tests that would occur each year level. For example, ACARA mentions NAPLAN has Grade 4 tests that students need to pursue in the inquiry to comprehend both exacting deducted data from text. To utilise learning of text as required from the content descriptor, the test shows a delegate of how promptly all Year 4 NAPLAN language tests adjust to comprehend that the significance of sentences. It tends to be enhanced using of non-group phases and verb group phases and prepositional phases. The use of assessment portfolios has students performed an ability to achieve literacy. The benefits of utilising portfolios, Healy mentions students collecting pictures, stories and other relevant literature documents support to assess specific student performances. For example, Donnelly mentions using portfolios cover the conception, drafting, revision of their work in process and the best piece of a student's creation. The benefits of students' assessment are families and school teachers collaborate by reflecting and write up comments. The portfolios would have a focus on strengths and weaknesses with the students' written work. It is reflected of the everyday learning experience of students to be consistent with the documentation to scale students' advancement and achievements. Students attract with an arrangement of works for fulfillment by their own reflection, reading aloud, observe and interpret. The multimodal messages in which the similarity as composition expected to teach and instigate. These incorporate a distinctive variety of media composition including paper, film and automated works, books and express emotions. According to Seeley Flint, portfolios have limitations for students to learn literacy. For example, students do not have the opportunity to learn to collaborate with peers and only to focus on their individual self to assess. Portfolio approaches show there is no particular marking procedure if students' spelling and sentences were misspelled or correct. There is a lack of positive connection between portfolio and student achievement. For example, Roy argues portfolio tools show small part of students' participation on the reflection. It is more useful for families and teachers to observe students' performances based on their writing and drawings. Moss argues that analysing portfolio as an evaluation tool originates from lacking the confidence for students to reflect themselves with the three strands of literacy, language and literature. Ludwig argues that students tend to undercheck or overstamp themselves when contrasted and mentor evaluations, while discoveries are uncertain concerning whether students will, in general, misrepresent and underestimated. To report on portfolios is reflected the learning journey of students to demonstrate achievements and critical thinking. According to ACARA, both students and teachers collaborate in choosing the workpiece settings to the learning knowledge. Portfolios may incorporate peers, self and teacher appraisal and used to encourage exchange amid student leading conferences. ACARA makes reference to allowing families opportunities in students' learning development. Golden Grove Lutheran Primary School portfolios are used for teachers to increase imperative data from the families about their children. They additionally give teachers a chance to talk about their child's achievement and areas for improvement. Golden Grove Lutheran Primary School mentioned teacher and family conferences are led toward the finish of term 1, week 7, 8 regular communication of student progress. Both socially and scholastically would be open and progressing, and the two families and teachers gatherings would be organised when it is suitable as the year progressed. The portfolio that links to the Australian curriculum content descriptor Students use language highlights to indicate how thoughts can be expanded. They create and clarify a point of view about content, choosing data, thoughts, and pictures from a scope of assess. Students intervene instructive and inciting writings for various purposes and groups of onlookers. They make introductions which incorporate multimodal components for characterized purpose. The contribution of using portfolio in the curriculum shows active class and group collaborations considering recorded in writing. Akara mentions portfolios exhibit comprehension of punctuation utilizing an assortment of sentence types. They select explicit vocabulary and utilize exact spelling and accentuation, altering their work for durable structure and the importance. The content descriptor for grade 5 clarify how message structures help with understanding the content. For instance, portfolios see dialect highlights, pictures and vocabulary impact understanding characters and settings. Grade 5 students reading own portfolios experience decoding words utilizing phonics, syntactic, semantic and logical learning. They dissect and clarify strict and interfered data from an assortment of writings. It portrays how occasions, characters and settings in the writings are delineated and clarify their own reactions. Self-assessment has shown evident that most schools are utilizing this tool. According to Thiel and Yokota, self-assessment is a revision of improvement that benefits student learning of literacy. The student assessment tool empowers students to freely evaluate their own advancement with certainty as opposed to continually depending on teachers' grades. Tompkins mentioned that students self-assess, they are effectively engaged with the learning procedure and the autonomy of inspiration is progressed. It benefits students who can take a gander at their work and judge the degree by which it reflects expressively, express objectives or criteria, can evaluate the nature of their work and amend it in their like manner. The limitations, however, shown that using self-assessment tool, Toomer, Chapman, Green, Hodge, Now and Arrow argue that the problem of finding roles for students to self-review the general mistake without teachers' guidance. For example, Snyder argues the lack of sensible dimension of student-teacher understanding as a precondition for any estimation of self-assessment as a learning apparatus. The piece of issue emerges from varying understandings of concentration on students, families, and teacher agreements. To report on students engaged with the self-assessment tool is a listen, read, interpret, and reflect. According to Akara, students' work is observed by teachers and families and shows a focus on written multimodal text. Thiel and Yokota mentioned the use of report self-assessment is authentic, just as writing intended to educate and induce. These incorporate different sorts of media writings, including paper, film, writing, and books. For example, McGregor Primary School invites families and teachers to meet consistently, are free to make meetings with class teachers at commonly pleasant occasions. Families are welcomed at our standard entire school and groups where students' learning accomplishment is commended. In the links of the Australian curriculum content descriptor, self-assessment in grade 6 are listening and speaking interactions. Akara mentioned the interactions develop skills in varying traditions of spoken communications. For example, voice, volume, tone, pitch and pace as indicated by gathering size, customer collaboration and necessities, and attributes of the group of onlookers. Akara mentions that students see how self-assessment highlight the examples of written language in their own pace and utilizing accentuation. Emmett mentions that it shows how the tool can be utilized to help a point of view clarifying of how students' decisions of language highlights and pictures are utilized. Students make itemized writing explaining one key thoughts of a scope of purposes and gatherings of people. They make introductions, contribute effectively to class and gathering discourse, utilizing an assortment of techniques for impact. Student self-assessments show a comprehension of sentence structure and settle on considered vocabulary decisions to improve attachment and structure in their composition. They utilize exact spelling and accentuation for lucidity and settle on and clarify publication decisions depending on criteria.